In high school, if you were any kind of an athlete, you played two sports, football or basketball. I didn't know much outside of York, Pennsylvania. I don't think I ever thought about anything else but playing football. My name is Bud Heilman. I formerly coached and taught at Kutztown University. You know, if you're interviewing somebody, they ought to have something exciting about what they did in the war. Mm-hmm. Most of the interviews and most of the things I read in the paper is somebody who was in actual combat. And I was in actual combat. But you're looking at a guy that walked out of there with not a scratch. As I remember, it seems to me it was a Sunday. We get an announcement that we're going to be part of the invasion force of France. We happened to convoy some British landing craft, and we set sail. And the landing was supposed to be the next morning. Well, we're all at battle stations, and nothing was happening. We're going across the channel at night, and most of us slept. When you sleep when you have an opportunity. The next thing you know, we woke up, we're back in Plymouth Harbor. We're back in Plymouth Harbor. What happened? Okay, now I know what happened. The channel was so rough that Eisenhower called off the invasion for one day. Instead of the 5th of June, it became the 6th of June. One of the greatest decisions ever made in history, that he took that whole, the whole 5 beaches and held them back for a 24-hour period and then sent them in and still caught the Germans by surprise. The transports never went closer than 7 miles to the shore because of the German shore batteries. So that the guys riding these things had a 7-mile ride before they even got to the beach. So you have to give those people all sorts of credit. So we stayed with the transports the first night, and then the second day of invasion, we were called back to what we called the gun line, and then we would fire at the Normandy, at Utah, and at Omaha Beach, back and forth. We would sit on the gun mount and watch the shells coming out of those big guns. You could see them, going. So after about 20 days, they told us that's all they needed, because they had moved inland and the 5 inchers couldn't go much further. And we gathered our troops together and our ships, and turned around and came back home. Now that's not much of a story compared to the guys that were on the beach. God Almighty, how they ever survived. It's incredible. Yeah. But the real story on the walk is in the Philippines, where we actually got hit by a kamikaze, and our captain refused treatment. He was shot and burned terribly. Refused treatment until all the crew that was injured was taken care of. We were in the Battle of Omark Bay. We were behind the Japanese lines. It turned out to be, the American naval history talks about it. It was a classic battle between destroyers and Japanese kamikazes, Japanese air. We were the lead destroyer, and we were attacked by 4 kamikazes, of which we got 3 of them, but the 4th one, we couldn't get the guns turned around in time, and the 4th one nailed us. All I know from my point of view, is the gun captain is screaming, "Get out, get out, get out," meaning us to get out of the gun mount, because the plane that we had started to turn to shoot at had already hit us. And now this, you learn afterwards, they usually carried a 500-pound bomb, and he released his bomb a little too early, the pilot, and the bomb actually went through our ship, went through the CIC and out the other side. Now we had no idea, didn't know that, but the point remains is, if he would have held on to that and released it a little bit later, I wouldn't be here with you. Well, after the war, I would have to say this, that the greatest piece of legislation ever passed, in my opinion, was the so-called GI Bill of Rights. I ended up going to Westchester. Then it was Westchester State. And then I went to Temple. And right after that, I got 17 credits at Temple towards my master's degree. And I got a job teaching in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, where I taught there for 3 years. I got a job in Wilmington, Delaware at A.I. DuPont High School, where coaching and teaching history. And I was there for 6 years. And I went to Bloomsburg State College as an assistant football coach and history teacher. I was there for 2 years. And then I got the job at Kutztown with the same thing, teaching history and coaching football. And I was there for 6 years. And it was a great 6 years. We like to think about this little group that we call the Heilman Herd were some of the first football players that I had, and we like to think that we laid the groundwork for the present success, because what we had at Kutztown was nothing. We didn't have a doctor, we didn't have a trainer, we didn't have bags, we didn't have machines. I'm not sure what was going on the year before I got there, but when I got there, I said many times, if I'd have known what I was walking into, I'm not sure I would have stayed.
Can you tell me a little bit about what made those 6 years at Kutztown? Like, what made it so special for you?
Well, you know, the answer to that is very simple. Look at the kids that we're having breakfast with this Thursday. They were special. They had to be special. They didn't have the things that their opponents had in the way of trainers and doctors and equipment. And in fact, when I got there, the game jerseys were wool. Wool, come on, we're talking about the 1960s. The helmets were the old style helmets. The new helmets were already common, and the kids didn't have that. Then one day I was informed that the laundry people would no longer do our laundry. Now you got 15 to 16 football players working out. Who's going to do the laundry? Well, the answer is very simple. Bud Heilman would do the laundry. And we got enough dimes from the finance department, and we would go downtown to the laundromat, and we would wash the clothes and dry them. I never felt that we were the underdog. We were. But we always went with the idea that maybe today we'd score a touchdown, or today we could complete a pass or something. And at the end of the game, that we would all walk off the field together. So on the surface, we didn't have a chance. We did not have a chance. A friend of mine was coaching East Stroudsburg at the time, and they were powerful. And in the third quarter, he came over. He said, "Bud, we could cut the quarters back to 10 minutes if you wish." I said, "It wouldn't be fair to the kids playing," and they all agreed. So we got our hand handed to it, but we were there when they blew the whistle for the end of the game. We were all there. I think our kids, my kids, deserves something to think about, because we feel that we laid the groundwork for what was to come.